BITO, the Bitcoin ETF. Never short Bitcoin, right? So I wanted to follow up a little bit more on the Craig Wright versus Kleiman court case, and then I'll go over the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ETF and look at the altcoins and kind of what the court case might mean for some of the different coins. We had a little rally on the S&P, so some things are looking a little bullish, some things are still looking kind of nasty. We'll take a look at some things and see what it looks like is happening for this week. Yeah, so first of all, I had a couple of people tell me like, hey, the $100 million court payout is not to the Kleiman estate. That's to the W&K company, which is only 25% stake was Dave's. So pretty much, and then it was 0 Bitcoins awarded. So this means that that Craig Wright is the sole, the court ruling came out at saying that Craig Wright is the sole creator and creative owner of Bitcoin. And then also, even with the software, it's almost a total win for his side of the case. Anyway, this is the court case of the freaking century. The creator of Bitcoin is ruled in court, and it's still like, where's all the headlines? It's like the mainstream media doesn't want you to like hear about it or something. I don't know what's going on here. All right, please like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever. Okay, so first of all, let's look at Bitcoin and talk about what this case means, because Craig Wright has a pile of patents. I was doing a little bit more research on his patents, and he says a bunch of his patents have to do with the Bitcoin Cash fork. And then the Bitcoin SV fork off of that is just like some more improvements that are being proposed. But that's the branch that he is saying is the good one. But like he has legal patent rights all over the Bitcoin Cash fork. And then the BTC fork, he has been claiming for several years now that has incorrect block sizes that are not coherent to the white papers. And he has legal patents that say that fork is not illegal, but like it's a patent violation, and also under different law, like in EU law, like forking off and making that puts you in a legal partnership, and you're liable for like all the Bitcoin in that fork legally, and there's tax obligations and things like this. Anyway, it's a bunch of legal complicated stuff that's slightly different in the EU versus America, and I don't know about China or something like that, but anyway, legal situation coming headfirst for the BTC fork. Like don't call it BTC Bitcoin kind of thing. Like BTC is not the real Bitcoin. Like this is what he's been saying for a couple of years, but he couldn't do anything about it because they're in the middle of this lawsuit. But the lawsuit's done now, so we'll see what happens. We might see Satoshi coins moving. Everyone's really worried about that, but like I think it's more likely we see a pile of patents thrown out on the table, showing that he actually like created and like owns some legal rights to what fork is allowed, that sort of thing. So I'm not really sure how this is going to play out, but anyway, let's take a look at Bitcoin, which did a little pull down, and I was showing the ribbon last time. Let's just do a quick look. The momentum here is negative, and it's a bearish move in negative. We're falling into the bottom half of the RSI. So this is already in bear territory in the short to medium kind of term. Like a month outlook, like this is making bear moves in bear territory already, which is pretty ugly. I had like the previous idea of on Bitcoin, doing like an ascending wedge kind of in this area over the next, 4 or 6 months or something. But now, as of the last couple of videos, and especially now with the court case, the technicals look like it's going to break down now, but like the court case is a terrifying threat to the BTC fork. And I had a user asking me about ETH, and ETH is not like directly connected, but ETH has the same non-scalable blocks as BTC. So if it becomes a huge fork war between the BTC branch and like the Bitcoin Cash and the Bitcoin Satoshi Vision has scalable blocks, ETH is going to be thrown straight in that category, and it's going to like come out against the Lightning Network and everything as well on the Bitcoin branch. So let's look where ETH is real quick, and then I'll go to the BITO, because the BITO ETF looks worse than the Bitcoin chart, and I don't know how it's tracking it so badly. But in any case, ETH is just kind of bulling in this. It's near resistance at the top of this channel, so it's like doesn't look awful, but like it needs to hop up here before it like looks safe. It looks a little dangerous right now, but the ETH chart technically doesn't look terrible. It's just kind of in a channel. But yeah, if we say like if a fork war starts and it's like the BTC branch is crappy because the blocks aren't scalable, and the Lightning Network is not okay because the entire decentralized purpose of Bitcoin is ruined. If you're using Lightning Network, you're immediately going to third parties, and you're defeating the purpose of Bitcoin as a decentralized system. And that's why you need scalable blocks, is so that the system is actually scalable and decentralized, instead of like scalable to it's already running into problems and you have to go to like something like Lightning Network, which is third-party stuff. Anyway, that's the argument that's being made. And as I was saying, it may become like a legit legal argument across different countries soon with patents and such. So, could get very interesting. Anyway, sorry I forgot who was asking about ETH, but I am short ETH and Bitcoin right now with put options. And I'm probably going to short this Bitcoin ETF, and I'm short Mara. Like, I'm just short like all this stuff because I think that I can't believe that it's not a bigger deal yet. Like, this court case should have immediately been a crazy reaction. Like, we've had the tiniest reaction to this court case. This is the biggest news in 13 years. But anyway, the BITO the BITO ETF that is supposed to track the price of Bitcoin but doesn't actually have any underlying Bitcoin, and by Bitcoin I mean BTC, because I think people are going to start making a big deal about actually calling BTC Bitcoin soon, because Craig Wright says it is not. And right, why is it so ugly? Because Bitcoin didn't do this through 6. Oh, it jumps from the 3rd to the 6th. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Bitcoin trades every day, so it did the little rolling bounce, and this thing skipped the whole rolling part because it doesn't trade over the weekend because it's an ETF. Okay, so this thing trades during normal trading hours as an ETF, so it is tracking Bitcoin properly. It just looked crazy because of the weekend. But in any case, I guess to talk about an ETF in general, like this thing doesn't have underlying Bitcoin, so the idea that this thing is going to bring more money into Bitcoin or BTC, I disagree with, because any money that goes into this is a complete side bet to the price of Bitcoin. This is only tracking Bitcoin. But that being said, this is an ETF that has option trading, and not like Ledger X option trading. Like, you can do this on E-Trade or something, and you can do it inside of a retirement account on E-Trade, which is exactly what I'm thinking about doing. Let's see. The next time we tap this line, probably. Let's see if we rally up here. And I think this could potentially be a little dead cat bounce area. Let's see, over the weekend. And the ETF you can't trade over the weekend, so it could be maybe if we do this kind of thing. Like, the momentum's still negative, but we're like bouncing into a bear trend line with way bearish momentum. See if it can get a little bit more of a rally this week. But if we can rally into this downtrend line this week, like starting next week is, I don't know, where is it on this chart? 10 for the 13th. and we like the 13th we might be running. Look at this thing. Like this thing literally was created right when we picked up like that bear shelf downtrend line, like the ugliest possible time to launch this ETF ever. It just like immediately picked up the bear trend line and dumped, and then like the whole court case. This ETF is going to be like if there's a nasty black swan, like this ETF is going to be like famously horrible, especially if BTC ends up like losing losing like the Bitcoin like word, and it's like I don't know. I can see this becoming an absolute like insane situation. This thing is ridiculous. But the thing that I wanted to point out about the BITO is, yeah, those things. Like, yeah, this thing's not bringing money into Bitcoin. It's a side thing, leverage, all that. But also, yeah, you can trade it inside of a retirement account if you happen to have like a retirement trading account, which I do. I have a couple. And yeah, that's the BITO that you should never, ever, ever short unless maybe there's a black swan. That might be not financial advice, but those are times when shorting might be an option. Okay, but let's look at the general market, because the S&P threw nasty green candle, actually 2 days of nasty green candles, just ripping, just shredded this downtrend line. So this is not what I thought was about to happen. Like we were just like heading into bearish territory on a pretty good momentum spread, and now I actually drew this exact thing as something I thought was unlikely in the last video, and it immediately happened. So that's a pretty bad call. But anyway, looking out at this week, let's look at this momentum and look at where the chart is now, because it's trying to poke out of the top of the channel again, which is dangerous. We're at resistance area. And so there's two. Let me just show like the momentum trading versus like the type of moves that it would make, because right here there's two options. Like if the blue line rips through the red line, that's like a golden cross, which is just going to explode to the upside. I think more likely, like the red line's coming down and kind of flattening out. So if the blue line rips through it, they'll both start trending up, which is the super bullish case here. The whole Santa rally, all of that, that's definitely possible. I don't think a huge rip to the downside is going to happen immediately, just because they're kind of coming together. But let's just look back. Like if we come together and flat out here, we're just barely slightly in bullish territory. So like kind of flatting out just a little bit into bullish territory would be just like a slight up move, like pretty much just like hugging this thing probably and kind of flatting out. And I think that might be the thing to expect for this week. I think that's what it's doing. But let me just kind of show you on the chart where it does such things. Like here, we got a bullish bounce, right? The lines crossed and it flatted. And this is actually a little higher in bull territory. But you can see here, when you flat out slightly in bull territory, you just kind of get a flat that's uphill. Like that's the kind of shape. And you can see here, this is a flat that's in a little higher bullish territory. And you can see here, you get a higher angled flat. So yeah, if you flat out in bull territory, you get a little up flat. If you were to flat out like in bearish territory, you'd get like a slight down move. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of the momentum idea. But the bullish kind of move, like here, right, we pulled down under a support level, then we jumped on top, and then we got a golden cross jump, right? So here is a case where we crossed and went bullish on the momentum, and then you can see the type of up move you get there. Like you get some explosive up moves if you do that, like if you break out on the momentum. So the momentum chart's going to be pretty interesting. But I think for the S&P this week, it looks like it's going to just be slightly bullish and kind of boring for the week. And that S&P is just a generic indicator. I'm not sure what that would mean for random little stocks. Like they probably won't collapse while the S&P is just kind of hanging out. Like if things are going to fall, they might fall together. And oh yeah, and like the Bitcoin looks like it might have a week before it flips over. I think we might have a boring week this week, and next week might be the crazy week where all the stuff happens. Yeah. Let's look at the NASDAQ. Pretty similar. The bounce is a little farther in bullish territory, and this thing just did a pretty good bounce off of support here. So yeah, I mean, this thing's just kind of in this channel. The NASDAQ doesn't look too bad. It looks like people are rotating into the NASDAQ and out of smaller stocks right now. So I think the S&P could be boring. The NAS could probably pull back up to support here, to resistance at the top of the channel. And I think it's possible some other stuff gets in a little bit of trouble this week, or is not quite as strong as something like the NASDAQ. I had some requests to look at like gold and silver and some miners. Let's just flip through the other indicators. Like the treasuries were breaking out, right? Where are they? Oh, right on support. Okay, so this is important. Like if the treasuries hold support here, Bitcoin's gonna like the treasuries pulling back right now, and it is. Like it's starting to rally as this pulls back. But if we hold this channel and break out to the upside, Bitcoin will absolutely hate that for technicals. And junk versus the treasuries is sort of like an upside down version of the previous chart, except that it takes into account whether you're buying government bonds or whether you're buying corporate bonds. And so we're kind of in a neutral area right here, like not bullish or bearish, and up move is risk on. That's bullish for stocks. So yeah, and this correlates with the up move that we just got on the S&P. And so there's resistance here to look out for. But like if you get up here, this is going to be a big bull run to like major resistance. Like this area up here is major resistance, and it almost always will fall out of there if that happens. So there's plenty of room to the upside on the technicals for the stock market. The momentum is just kind of boring and slightly bullish for the general market. Bitcoin still looks pretty scary at this spot. Yeah, and let's say, oh, DXY has been breaking out. Where's that? Still breaking out. Yeah, it's breaching a channel, and it's got a whole bull trend line situation. Like the DXY looks super strong. So super strong DXY is not great for the stock market. But like it hasn't, up moves on the DXY have not been crashing the market. Like I don't know how high the DXY has to go before it's like really threatening the market. I mean, it might need to get up above 100 somewhere before the DXY moves would be pushing like the market into negative territory. But we'll see. We'll see if we get an interesting move here, because we're kind of above all the levels, and there's potential for a rip to the upside on the DXY here. Gold still kind of stuck in the down channel. Not super interesting. It has tried to break out a couple of times. We'll see if it tries again. But right now it's just in the same bear channel. Silver has been stronger than gold. Silver's been going like sideways while gold's been going down. And it's coiling, so gold may try to pop, silver may try to pop. But right now silver's underneath everything. So not really sure what silver's trying to do here. I got requests to look at the miners, and this is going to be a really tricky place to enter silver, because silver will hypothetically should do well if you're getting inflation and you're in a commodity bull market. Like those two things combined should be very good for silver, in which case gold should be doing good and copper should be doing good and silver should be doing twice as well. And so right now gold is bearish, so that's not awesome for silver. And copper has been bulling, so let's check FCX. This is not like the copper futures, this is a copper mining company, but I mean this has been bulling out. So basically copper's been bulling pretty well, silver's been bulling weekly, and gold has been bearish. So when all three of those turn up, silver should be really good. And I don't know if that's about to happen right now. It could. Like if the stock market just wants to bull out a bit, I think copper is a safer bet, but if gold breaks out, silver should do better than both. Yeah, that's the general idea. Let's look at AG, which is like the well, I guess it's a junior silver miner, but it's like really the biggest silver company that actually focuses on silver, because most of the mining companies do gold or other metals and just kind of end up with some silver as a byproduct. But AG, First Majestic, is actually a silver miner, and they're the only mining company that mints their own coins. So I have physical silver coins. I might actually have some sitting around. I think they're not right here. I was actually just had a roll of the silver coins out a minute ago for no reason. But yeah, anyway, yeah, this technical setup looks pretty cool. I mean, I really do like this chart a lot. Like, we had a massive wedge where we're crisscrossing this thing for several years, and then we picked up big support, broke out of the top of the down wedge, and double tapped the top. So, like, technically this is a very good looking place to enter a trade on First Majestic. But like, I don't like this trade unless gold decides to break out. Like, if gold breaks out and the copper miners are moving, like, this thing should be pretty awesome. And that might happen. But right now it's like, I'm not sure what's going to happen. But then support here is just a little bit lower. And yeah, in any case, like, if we're not doing like a technical breakout here, then the support level should pick it up. But I mean, this is over another whole year. Like, if this support doesn't hold, we come down and it's like takes another year before we pick it up. So that's just like the AG chart. Gato is another junior miner that it's actually almost as big as AG now, and they focus on silver. And this is another like kind of pure silver miner play. And the stock hasn't been around long enough to really get a super good technical analysis overview. I mean, we kind of had like a bull channel situation going on here, and did like a false breakout. Like, this is like a false breakout kind of look that matches what a lot of like the lithium stocks and stuff look like, which I don't love this chart from the technical perspective at the moment. It looked like we were about to pick up like a real bull line, and now it's like kind of underneath some things, and maybe who knows? Like, maybe we're going to stay above this downtrend, but we could tap it a couple more times, and who knows? Yeah, it's kind of I think they asked for core. C-O-U-E-R? Core? I think I have core in here. I can't remember how to spell it. And core's like a bigger miner that's not... haven't looked at that one in a while. Let's see. I can't remember. C U? Or not Coursera. I thought it was like this. I guess not. C O Core? I can't remember how to spell it. And I can't find it in my 100 freaking symbols that I have in here. Yeah, anyway, core is not really a silver miner play. That's like a generic kind of mess of miners play. Not SKT. SILJ is supposed to be a silver miner play, but I definitely don't like this chart. Like, this chart looks worse than just the normal silver chart. I'd rather buy silver or trade spot with like the Sprott physical than trade this thing. I don't like it. But like Gato or AG I do like for silver miners. What was I talking about? Sprott. Oh, what is it? PHYS, I think, is Sprott physical silver. Oh, PHYS is Sprott physical gold. Oh, it's PSLV is the silver. Yeah, but anyway, for gold, the Sprott physical gold is the fund that you can buy kind of with any account, and it actually has gold instead of something like GLD, which is like paper gold. or like SLV, which is paper silver. The PSLV is Sprott silver, which actually has the silver in a vault in Canada, I think, for PSLV. But anyway, yeah, that's the kind of look at silver. Like it's still just kind of going sideways right now. And the conditions where silver should do well haven't happened yet, but it could happen right now. If gold breaks out and copper breaks out and the S&P starts looking okay, like that's risk on and inflationary. But you need treasuries probably to come down too. Like this is a deflationary up move in treasuries, so you want all that to happen and treasuries coming down. Like that whole combination of things that makes sense for silver is not happening. Anyway, it's a long-winded answer to someone asking me to look at the silver and silver miners. Yeah, so as far as altcoins, we could look at let's look at the other Bitcoin branches, right? Bitcoin, Satoshi's vision here has just been kind of boring, but the court case it ripped, like before the court case it crashed down to 80, and then it ripped up to like 170 after the court case, so it doesn't really look that far out of place. Like it's made some moves, and it's only at 150 where BTC. I don't know if we can call BTC Bitcoin now. Where BTC's at whatever it is, 50,000. This is at 150. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen at all. But I don't think a fork war is going to be good for any of these in the short term. I think that's going to be bad for everything, especially altcoins. Because if BTC comes down, the altcoins follow, but also just the entire thesis of like the non-scalable blocks being bad is gonna. Almost every altcoin has that same problem. Ethereum definitely has that problem. That's going to be bad for Lightning Network. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. And then Monero XMR is one of the only coins that does not have that problem. And this is the freaking blockchain that I have said is the best blockchain for the last 10 years is Monero. And I haven't like been trying to trade it, but just as like proof of concept, like this has the scalable blocks, and it has like 4 other features on top of the scalable blocks that are all cool, unless you don't like privacy, but I do, and I think that Monero is the chain that's the good one. It's like better, it's even better than the Bitcoin Satoshi's vision, because this has the scalable blocks, but it also has block size increase penalties built in, so that the miners don't arbitrarily increase the block size just to like, try to take like little scam transactions and stuff. Like, they need to pay a penalty to increase the block size. So it has to be legit transactions before they push the block size up. So that solves that problem. And then it has inflation built in. Instead of running out of, like, Bitcoin just like stops and has a cap on the coin number, and then at that point miners don't get any payment out of the blockchain. They have to be paid on the side. But with Monero, I think it's like 0.6 or something is the cap, but it doesn't hit a hard coin limit. It hits an inflation cap of like 0.6, so that miners keep getting paid off of the blockchain to keep processing the blocks. And so that kind of solves the what happens when we run out of available coins for the miners problem to some degree, even though probably you would still need payments in addition to that with Monero also. And it has the ring signatures, which like improves the firewall for the pseudo-anonymous identities of the people holding the wallets, more secure. And it also hides the dollar amount of each transaction. So you have to actually know a secret sort of a secret number, secret key to change the recorded number on the blockchain to the actual number that was transacted. So anyway, as like the person who made the transaction, you can prove that you own it. You can prove it's like everything that's good, plus like more potential problems solved. Like this is the best chain. Monero's been the best chain the whole time. Nobody knows about Monero. I don't think nobody knows about it, but I'd like to hear a big argument between like BSV and Monero. I should make a Monero video. I'd just be like, what? Why is Monero not better? Because I'll probably get a million people like telling me I'm wrong, which is always fun. Anyway, yeah, technicals on this. I mean, I think like that fork war would probably be beneficial to this chain because the fork war would be promoting the scalable blocks, which this one has. That was the point, kind of, but yeah, this thing's falling off its bull trend. I think absolutely all of these cryptos, if there's a big legal situation, if there's a fork war, any of that, is going to be bad for all the cryptos. And even on the cycle thing, where are we? We're like in the middle of December. Like this could be the end of even the generic cycle theory. Yeah, I mean it could drag out longer, but you know, this is like this is a really tricky time to trade crypto. It's a tricky time, and my best guess is kind of the the stock market starts dipping and the cycle on the coins is ending, and then we're going to start seeing all this legal follow-up from the court case. And if we see those Satoshi like big wallets that haven't moved the whole time start moving, which Craig said that he's going to donate a bunch of that stuff to charity, which is interesting. But if that happens, anyone who doesn't care about the court's ruling on the case, like you can go look at the court transcripts and everything that came out, but like the couple people on the jury, like I don't personally care what they think or what they ruled. Like that doesn't, what they said doesn't make me believe anything. Like I am looking at all the information myself, but I do think that Craig created Bitcoin, and it's actually pretty funny. It's pretty funny going back. I was just watching a video like a couple hours ago from several years ago, and he's talking about the blockchain and talking about what it can be used for, like for kind of property rights and contracts and encrypted files, and it's just like an entire protocol layer on top of the internet that allows basically property rights to be transferred, and like money is just like one part of that. And it's like he's like trying to explain like what, like the point of it and the scale of it. And there's like the panel of like Bitcoin experts, and they have him on like the screen, and he's just like, right, so this is what it's supposed to be doing, guys. Like I'm not allowed to tell you who I am, but like you're supposed to be doing this with it. And they're just like, oh, that's like a hypothetical thing, and they're like completely ignoring him, and they don't know who he is. And they're like, how long have you been around? He's like, I kind of try to keep my head down, but I've been around for a while. And it's so funny. It's so funny going back and watching it. It's almost like watching like Fight Club for the second time, like after you know the secret or something like that, and it's like a completely different movie the second time you watch it. It's hilarious. Yeah, and they're asking him like, are you a miner? And he's like, well, I used to. He's like the initial like miner that created the freaking coin. He's like, yeah, yeah. And then they're like, we heard you like move to like England and Iceland and stuff like that. He's like, oh yeah, well, Iceland is because the power's cheap, and we have like the 15th most powerful supercomputer in the world. It's like the only supercomputer owned by a private party, and we're using that to model the scalability of Bitcoin. And it's like this exact like computer number in this place, and it's like he gives like the legal information for the computer, and he's like, we call it Tulip, named after the tulip bubble. And he's like telling them he has this freaking supercomputer that they're like scaling Bitcoin on, And they just like completely ignore him. Like, oh, that's cool. That's, really interesting. It sounds like fun. Like, this is, I'm like, oh my god, this is hilarious. And then this one random guy like gets up to ask a question. He's like, I'm sorry, am I on crazy pills? Like, did you just say you have like one of the only supercomputers in the world and you're like scaling Bitcoin on this thing? He's like, oh yeah, you know. It's, go look up more videos on Craig like from several years ago. It's like absolutely hilarious. Um, yeah. Anyway, it was really funny. Let's look at some of these little guys. Like, what's going on with like these like lithium stocks? Because like a couple of days ago they're like threatening to like fall off the end of the world. Some of them are still holding on. Oh, sorry, the AQST is not lithium. This one actually has a pretty good chart of all things. Like that guy actually is like looks like it's trying to pick up a bull line. Um, well, first off, Tesla was in this like little triangle thing. Still in the little triangle. Okay. Um, Not interested in that chart right now. That's scary looking. ARC is completely fallen off track, but it's catching the bounce. Yeah, here's like these little EV and lithium stocks. So these things are like pressing down, and now they're just kind of sitting at dangerous land. I don't even have lines for where to trade these things if they fall down and off of these. They're just like, yeah, if they fall out of these bull structures, I don't even know where they're going. Go EV, it's not loading very fast. That one's still up. Okay, that one looks like a decent chart. So yeah, as far as anyone that's way bullish on tiny, EVs and stuff like Canoe, Go EV has a good technical setup, not investment advice, and Nikola, not pretty, but it's bouncing. Like Workhorse looks way ugly. Workhorse has like SEC investigations and stuff, but Workhorse actually does make vans. Like Nikola has a fake truck that's, I don't know how many years away from ever being developed. I would say like it will never be developed. But we caught a bounce. We're kind of in between here, so I was thinking if we break underneath both of these levels, like this thing is just so dead. But catching this bounce puts it in sort of what are you doing territory on Nikola. FUV breaking down ugly. Rivian, there's not enough data. I mean, it fell down from that crazy thing. Solo has been kind of trending down. It looks like it's still doing it. Yeah, that one kind of looks ugly and not really sure where it's going. If it stays below, yeah, this is another one that could just get way ugly. I don't even really have a channel set up for it. I mean, I guess this bear channel would be a downside target if it collapsed out of here, which would be down to the 40-cent kind of area. That would be really ugly if this one collapsed. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I think I said this in a couple of videos. Like, I think if the margin loans collapse, like these small, SPACy and like, tiny tech, like high risk techie stocks could get in big trouble. And that looks like it's happening just from looking at the IWM. Oh, did I look at the IWM? Let me go do that in a minute. Yeah, this thing just did a weak crossover and looks like it's picking up a bearish channel. This thing has lots of room to fall. That one could get, let's just stretch it out so it's more dramatic. Alright, so in any case, yeah, most of these look like they're pretty bad technical setups, but they're catching the S&P rally. I was wondering if they're going to be like ugly even though the S&P is doing okay. But they certainly didn't rally. Like, it's not like they went back to their like previous highs and picked up the bull lines. Like, they're just like retesting the bottom like support shelf. So I still think a lot of these little guys are in line to get in trouble soon. But maybe not this week. We'll see. We'll see if the S&P like flats out or what's going on. But I would not expect like these little guys to explode up without the IWM. Like the IWM is, let's get those momentums back. This is the kind of the junk stock indicator and the margin loan indicator. This is the Russell 2000 small caps, but like a lot of the nonsense loans that go into sort of non-viable companies, I guess to put it nicely, are reflected pretty well on this chart. And so here we're down in bear territory on the momentum. We're under a shelf here. So we're coming up into a downtrend with bearish momentum setup. So this looks like it might run, same kind of thing. It looks like it might run this week and then kind of catch a down move. So I think we might be, it might take like 2 or 3 weeks to kind of roll over, and I don't know how nasty, but I'm still expecting a down move on most things, but probably less of a down move on some commodity stuff, and like the NASDAQ probably, I don't think will pull down quite as hard. That's the look, I guess. That would probably do. Please hit up some comments and tell me what mistakes I made today. And yeah, I do think this downtrend line that I drew here is completely in play. But if we go back to the last time we were hopping down a downtrend line, you can see kind of hop, but when we hop, it's not like a vertical rollover, right? Like we build up a little run and then we fall. We build up a run and then we fall. It's kind of like an L shape. It's not like a rolling top. So we might get something similar to that shape here. No, don't move my lines. All right. Yeah, so I mean, we're right under resistance. But yeah, for instance, if we wanted to just kind of flat out and just hang out in this kind of in-between area for a minute and then maybe dump, that would be way later in March. Like, that wouldn't really surprise me. Just kind of tracking the momentum and trying to see where this thing is going. But it looked super nasty last week. Like, it was going to come. I thought we were going to stab last week. And now we'll just have to see what it does. The S&P is impressive. It does, well, it's kind of just like everything. Like, you got to move your money from one place to another place. So no matter where you move it, like, it's going to kind of be in the S&P. I mean, unless you're like running into treasuries or gold or something. But well, and kind of that is kind of happening. Like, treasuries is kind of breaking out, and if we see gold breaking out, then that's kind of the idea. Anyway, happy trading. Sorry for rambling endlessly, but got to see some things, share a few laughs.